Good morning, class. Today we're starting with, what I'm letting you guys know first before we start the lesson is your homework for today. I don't know the exact page, but it's going to be the problem set of lesson 15. So make sure you guys do that tonight. Problem set lesson 15. Do it tonight. Make sure you guys complete that. I'll definitely be collecting a bunch of homework when I come back next week. So you get all the page or all of the problem set for lesson 15 for the homework tonight. And today what we're going to be looking at is lesson 16. So what I'm going to have you guys do right now, real quick, just maybe 2 minutes to do problem A. We could pause the video. Alright, so hopefully everyone got the answer for this. For this problem, there's a lot of different ways you could go about it. We could go from multiply from left to right. I'll just show you a couple ways. Negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And then times that by, we just write it out. Do negative 12 times negative 2 is positive 24. Then do 24 times negative 5. Gets you negative 120. Multiply by that by negative 3. Negative times a negative is positive 360. So hopefully you guys got 360 for your answer for that problem. You didn't necessarily have to do it this way. One thing I wanted to talk about is if you notice your answer here is positive 360, right? And there's a way you could check if you got the right sign or not. If you look back at the very original problem, if you look at how many negative numbers are there, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So the rule is that if there's an even amount of negative numbers, you know your answer is going to be positive. And if there's an odd amount of negative numbers, you know your answer is going to be negative. For example, right here, just basic problem. Right here, got 2 negatives, so you know the answer is positive. You can think of them as, maybe kind of think of it as the negatives that cancel each other out and make it positive. But when I'm doing negative 7 times 3, that gets you negative 21, because how many negatives are there? There's only 1 negative, so you know your answer is going to be negative. And real quick, up at the top, negative 5, negative 3, negative 2. Actually, let's change it to positive 2. Right here, what you could do is you could look at the problem and already determine what if the answer is going to be positive or negative by how many negatives there are. So here, there's 2 negatives. Remember, right here, 2 negatives, you can think of it as they kind of cancel each other out. Remember, negative times negative is positive. And then multiply that by each other, we get positive 30. So, real quick, what I want you guys to do, at the bottom, let's answer question D. So what is the sign of the product and how is the sign determined? Remember, the product is just the answer to a multiplication problem. So the answer was positive because there's an even number of negative numbers. Let's fix that real quick. So yeah, keep that in mind. Today we're going to be talking about a few different strategies on how you could kind of make these prompts easier. One I guess this is more of a way to check what your answer is going to be and if you got the right sign or not. We have an even amount. So let's write that over here. Sorry for the background noise. Got the dishwasher running right now. So hopefully you actually still hear me. Even number of negatives means the answer is going to be positive. If you have an odd number of negatives, your answer is going to be negative. Keep in mind, this is only for multiplying or dividing. So keep that in mind. Make sure you guys have that written down so you can use that as strategy to check your answer later on. Real quick, just about the previous problem. Another thing I could do here, remember what we know about multiplication is that you don't always have to multiply left or right. You can multiply in any order and get the same answer. So here, negative 2 times negative 5, I get positive 10. And the negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. And I got negative 3 there. And then, let's see. I got negative 12 times negative 3 is positive 36. Times 10 gets you 360. So same answer we got before. A beneficial thing here is we don't have to write it all out. We can kind of do a couple multiplication problems at a time. And the reason I want to multiply these two is because they get 10. If I ever multiply two numbers and get 10, I want to do that because 10 is really easy to multiply any number by, right? Right here I did 12 times negative 3 and get 36, and multiplying 36 by 10 here is easy. All you gotta do is add a 0 to it. So maybe that's a benefit or a good strategy to help you get the answer a little bit easier. So hopefully you guys got that. And we can move on to it's okay, we don't have to write anything for the strategies, but just keep that in mind for now. Alright, let's say a minute and a half, 2 minutes to do this problem, and then we'll go over it. So we can pause the video. Alright, so for here, I'm going to leave this 10 alone until the end because when I multiply all the other numbers, I'm going to get kind of a big number, probably, and then we could just multiply that by 10, and then that'll be easy. So here, let's see. Well, first, let's check what, before we even do the problem, we can determine if our answer is going to be positive or negative. So everybody think about that real quick. 10 seconds. And put one finger up if you think it's positive. Put 2 fingers up if you think it's going to be negative. Hopefully everybody's raising their hand right now. I can't see you guys, but I envision everyone's participating. Alright, so here we know our answer is going to be, let's see, there's 1 negative, 2 negative, 3 negatives. Right, so there's an odd amount of negative numbers. So automatically you know your answer is going to be positive. Oh, no, you know your answer is going to be negative. Odd amount is going to be negative because right here, you think about it, negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3, so the negatives kind of cancel out there. Negative 2 times positive 2 is negative 4. The negative didn't cancel out because the negative times the positive is just a negative. Here, I'll bring this 10 down. Next, you can do it left to right if you want. I'm just going to do 3 times negative 4. Get you negative 12. Multiply that by 10. Get negative 120. So hopefully everybody understands that. Alright, so let's move on to... Alright, this is the next problem. So this one's a little bit different in the fact it has some fractions. Before we talk about this problem, I'm going to kind of give you guys a reminder. If I'm doing 4 times half, what you could do is you could turn it both into fractions, multiply top times top, denominator times denominator, and simplify and get 4 divided by 2 is just 2, right? But I want you to be able to look at the problem and not even have to do all these steps. If you go back, this is basically asking what's half of 4, or you could think of it as 4 divided by 2, just 2. And what you could do also, like for example, let's look at another one. 15 times 1/5. Whenever you multiply by something, a number by, or a whole number by like 1 over something, you're basically just doing 15 divided by 5 here. It's just 3. Alright. So if you even do that all out, you get 15 over 5, or you cross cancel and get 3. But yeah, I'm just showing you guys a strategy for a shortcut, so you guys don't have to actually do all that out. Let's do one last example real quick. 81 times 1 over 9. Basically just doing 81 divided by 9, which is 9 there. So keep that in mind for this upcoming problem. So with multiplication, a lot of you guys like to do multiply left to right. 4 times 1/3, you get 4 over 3. Don't write this part down. Times -8 times 9. I'm going to not write the x. I'm just going to put parentheses to show the multiplication. Then what I could do is -8 times -9, -72. That's 4 over 3 times -1/2. Again, you're not writing this down. This is just one way to solve it. I want to show you guys a much easier way in a little bit. Then I can multiply 2 fractions. I get -4 over 6 and -72. Here I can turn that -72 into 72 over 1. We can cross cancel the 6 and 72. 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 72 12 times, but since that 72 is a negative, it will be -12. Then now we can multiply -4 times -12 and get +48. And if you look back at the original problem, there were 2 negatives, so you know your answer should be positive since there was even amount of negatives. So yeah, that's one way to do it. If you kind of think about doing it, I might have went through it kind of fast, and there's a lot of steps, a lot of places to make little mistakes. But so let's look at another way we could do it. Remember, we could choose numbers to multiply with each other to make it a little easier. Here I'm going to choose to do 1/3 times 9. Everybody think about why I'm multiplying those two together. Because remember, really we're just doing 9. Or we're doing 9 times 1/3, which is basically just doing 9 divided by 3, which is just 3. Right? So now I got 4 times 3. So I'm not going to write the x. These are done. I got -8, -1/2. Here, I can multiply those two together. Remember, here we're basically just doing 8 divided by 2. And the negative times the negative here is positive. So we're just going to get 4. Because I got 8 divided by 2. Now I got 4 times 3 is 12, times 4, 48. So see how that was a lot easier, quicker, and we chose numbers where it's easy to multiply and not make mistakes. And if you want, let's go back real quick. Could do is, you don't have to do it exactly like this, but let's see. Okay, we get 3 there. Okay, at the same time, you can multiply the -8 and the negative half and get positive 4. Then break down that 4. Here's 12 times 4, 48. So even faster, right? You can just do it a couple at a time. But just be careful and make sure you take your time and check that. Alright, so moving on to the next part. Oh, actually, answer exercise 3. Which terms did you combine first? We can say we combine the number that can multiply with the fraction to help get an easy number, or easy whole number. So I'll repeat it. I'm not going to write it down. I want you guys to try practice your taking notes by hearing what I'm saying. So the question is, what number did you combine first and why? So we combined the number with the fraction where if you multiply it, you would get a nice easy whole number. I'll repeat it one more time. You combine the whole number with the fraction that you know would get you a whole number when you multiply it, as opposed to getting all these crazy fractions. We'll write that real quick for under exercise 3. Let's see. Alright. Look at the next part. This is using distributive property to multiply rational numbers. So rewrite the mixed number as a sum. So first let's do that. Rewrite the mixed number as a sum. And then multiply using the distributive property. Let's do the first part. We've done that before. This is the first part. We're going to rewrite this mixed number as a sum. So I could break down 5 1/3 to be 5 plus 1/3. And I can bring down that -6. So what are we doing here? Okay, so that's the first step. Next it says use the distributive property. Remember the distributive property, what we're doing here is we can multiply that number on the outside of the parentheses with everything on the inside. So -6 times +5 is -30. And -6 times 1/3. Remember, basically we're just doing 6 divided by 3 here. We get 2, or -2. Then you can add those together and get -32 as your answer. See how that was nice and easy? Another way, what you guys might have done also is a lot of you guys will want to turn that mixed number to improper fraction, get 16/3. And here I got some kind of tough numbers to multiply. Not the easiest, right? We did what we did on the left side, broke it apart, that mixed number, and got easy numbers to multiply with. Alright, I want you guys to try to do exercise 5 on your own based off what we just did. We can pause the video for a few minutes and then I'll go over it. Alright, so what we do here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to break up that -3.5. And we get -3 plus half. Does anybody see the mistake I made? I think some of you guys might have did that. Remember, to make -3.5, you need -3 and -1/2. So remember, they're both negative here. Then we got the 9 in front. Then now we could distribute that 9. 9 times -3 is -27. 9 times negative half. That one will be a little more complicated here. We'll get plus negative. We could do 9 over 2, or actually change it to, well, let's do it over here. I'll make sure you guys know how I got the answer. 9 times half. We got 9 over 2. Let's change that to a mixed number. 2 goes in 9 4 times, with the 1 remainder, and 2 stays the same. And it's a negative times positive, so we get negative 4.5. Alright, then we can add it together, right? Negative 27 and negative 4.5 makes negative 31.5. So that should be your answer for that problem. Hopefully everyone, or most of you guys were able to get that, and if not, you understand it. And if you have questions, you guys should always just ask Ms. Seals to kind of rewind the video, or if you could try to answer it also. And just hear it, me going over it again to help you guys understand it. Because we are going to have one more quiz on Fridays before I come back, so keep an eye out for that. Alright. This one, it's nothing really fancy to do. Everybody, try to do that real quick. You just multiply and then add the order of operations. I'll pause the video for a couple minutes. Alright, so for this problem, order of operations, we got multiply first, so I'll do here. 16 over 1. Remember, I can't just do 16 divided by 8 here because the top number is not a 1. So 16 over 1 times negative 3 over 8. I can cross cancel that. 8 goes in 8 once. 8 goes in 16 twice. So we get 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I got plus 16 here times 1/4. Common mistake is people would add these two. And before I can add, order operations tell me I gotta multiply everything first. So I can't do that. What I could do right here is actually do 16 times 1/4. And you guys should know that that's really just doing 16 divided by 4. Which gets us 4. Then we're adding. So think of it as kind of like 2 sections. You're doing that, the left side and the right side, then you're adding them 2 together. And you get negative 2. Make sure you guys write that down and kind of understand it as well. Good habit is maybe wait for me to kind of talk about it, go over it first, and look at what I'm doing. Don't worry about copying it down as I'm writing down, because then you can't really hear and pay attention to it. So just copy it down after I'm done writing it. And you can just always ask Ms. Seals to pause the video real quick. Alright, next part. Example 4 says use the multiplicative inverse to rewrite division as multiplication. So let's see. Before we look at the problem, just kind of a reminder. I'm doing 6 divided by 2/3. Before I can do that problem, we get to change the 6 times 3 over 2. Because remember, dividing, you got to change it to multiplying and then flip it, right? So what we're going to do with all these problems is kind of like the way we rewrite our addition as adding the opposite. We're going to change the division. Remember, 1 divided by 2/3 is the same thing as 1 times 3 over 2, alright? Whenever I divide, I change the multiplying and do the reciprocal when it's fractions. I got the negative 8 times 3. Here, same thing. Dividing by negative half, what you got to do there is change it to times by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of negative half would be negative 2 over 1. To make it easier, I could just write negative 2, right? Just write negative 2. Now it's just like on the previous page. We're just multiplying. I'm gonna that one. Remember, if we're just multiplying a bunch of numbers, multiplying by 1 doesn't do anything. So that 1 we could kind of just ignore. Negative 8 times 3 over 2. Let's see. I'm gonna do it on the side, just so the problem doesn't get messy. So negative 8 over 1. Cross cancel. And we'll get negative 12 as our answer there. So negative 12, 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And it's negative 6 times negative 12 is positive 72. Alright, let's move on. See this? I'll give you guys a couple minutes. Try to do exercise 6. You pause the video. Alright, so first thing, think of it kind of like when we rewrite our subtraction as add and opposite here. Again, you might have done it differently. As long as you get the same answer, that's fine. But try to use the same strategies. In the past, on the test, students who didn't use the strategy, they would mess up and get the wrong answer. And students who did use the right strategy, it made the problem a lot easier, and they got the right answer that way. So here, dividing by 1/6 is the same as multiplying by, it's the same as multiplying by 6 over 1. Remember, dividing, you got to change the multiplying by the reciprocal. I don't got to write 6 over 1, I have to write 6. And times negative 10. Here, what I want to do, I want to multiply these two, right? Because right here, we're basically doing 6 divided by 3, or 6 divided by negative 3. So we get negative 2. If you want to check that on the side, let's do that as well. Cross cancel, negative 2. Again, we don't have to do that, right? Based off what I told you guys earlier, we kind of be able to get that in our head. Then times negative 10, times 4.2. Right here, we can multiply these two, but I actually want to multiply 4.2 times negative 10 because, remember, multiplying by 10 makes anything really easy. All I'm doing here is I got to move the decimal over by 1 to the right, I get positive 42. But remember, positive times a negative is negative. So negative 42 times negative 2. I guess you get positive 48. So hopefully you guys understand that. And we'll do more practice with it sometime in the middle of this week. And you guys have a quiz on these type of problems at the end of the week. So that'll be it for that.